I would like to ask the City Deal and the County Council how they intend to ensure that the bus operators give a service that will actually benefit the members, the residents of Camborne, and actually do the job, because Stagecoach, as we all know, has a very poor reputation.
Yeah, so I'm Bob Menzies, I'm Service Director for Strategy Development of the County Council. In answer to your question, you have to look at the existing busway, and the way Stagecoach have invested in that. They bought 25 vehicles at the start of it and around 40. So we're very confident, exactly the same issue were raised about the existing busway, that would be a white elephant, there'd be no buses on it. We put in place a minimum service level agreement with the bus operators, not just Stagecoach, also Whippet, who are now owned by an Australian company. And we put in place minimum service agreements with them. The service has always been more than that minimum service agreement and has grown and grown and grown. And Stagecoach just bought more new buses for the busway. So we're confident if we get this right, get the right busway, get the priorities in place, that the buses will be there.
I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Hi, you've used the expression consultation. I'd like to understand, first of all, whether it is a consultation or whether it is just an information delivery on this whole programme. As the City Deal is obviously not a democratic body itself. First answer?
I'll do without.
The second one is, I'm a resident of Adams Road. I notice all the buses stop in Grange Road. Where are you putting all the buses once they get to Grange Road?
As actually pointed out, what the City Deal Board are doing, and you all know the structure of the City Deal Board, there's representatives on it, I hope you do, from County, City and South Cambridgeshire. University doesn't have a vote. The City on the Board doesn't have a vote. But the policies that are actually set up there, the local plans, adopted by Cambridge City Council, South Camp local plan by South Camp local district council, local transport plan and the joint transport strategy by the county council. So there's been democratic buy-in to all these strategies. What we're now doing is delivering those strategies, and that's been done in the auspices of the City Deal Board.
So is this a consultation on the City Deal busway, or is it information delivery?
Well, there's been a consultation. In which we've,
what are we doing now? Are we consulting, or are you?
The next stage will be to consult on specific routes, subject to the Assembly and Board decisions in the next week and the next month.
So, i.e., the public isn't actually going to have any say currently?
I think the danger is you're confusing a consultation with a referendum. It's not a referendum. We've asked people their views. We've had a range of views back in. We've had a range of issues raised with us that we need to address and deal with.
We've had very vague information today.
Well,
now you're getting down to the detail. We have actually ability to influence this, or are we just being informed?
The next stage of the process will be a number of routes. As Adrian outlined, there are multiple options.
Could you answer the question, please?
Can I explain the process to the gentleman?
No.
You? I'm
There's
explaining
a
the
concrete
process.
question, and you are not answering it, you're evading it. You're talking about your routes. He's asking a question
Can I
about the
explain?
consultation process.
Which is about what the next stage of
It's
consultation
not about the
is.
routes, it's about consultation. Please answer the question.
The next stage will be to consult on those routes. We will put forward, we may recommend one route, we may advise on 2 routes, we don't know yet, we haven't done the work. Exactly what we'll be putting forward at that consultation stage. That will then allow people to come in, give views on the different routes, how they impact them, how they see them fitting into the overall vision, and then it'll go back to the board again for them to make a decision. Again, it won't be a referendum, it will be a consultation. We ask for people's views, the board will have to make a strategic decision. If they then go forward to the next stage, there will be a full formal consultation in which people can make formal objections, and that will probably be some form of public inquiry, depending on which statutory process is appropriate. And there's a number depending on what options go forward. So there's several more stages that people can express a view on which decisions will be taken. I hope that's clearer. It's not as black and white as this gentleman thinks.
And sorry, the second part of my question is anybody else?
I heard this view last week, but it's not a referendum, when I went to the stakeholder briefing. And I was told by a leading city councillor that it wasn't a referendum, and we don't have to take the opinions of the general public into consideration if they're proven to be wrong. So my question would be, are the general public wrong in this case, because you have ignored the opinions of thousands of people and you have dismissed the additional suggestions, I think virtually every single additional suggestion that was made. So what was the point of the consultation?
I think that's really a political point. I'm not a politician, I'm an officer. As officers, we're given a very clear job to do, and that is to deliver the strategy. And we've advised members on how best to deliver the strategy. It's the members' decision whether they listen to us or listen to other people.
But how much weighting does the views of the general public have, the people who live in an area? Because we listen to all these justifications of the route that's been chosen, and it's in terms of journey times and it's avoidance of some environmentally sensitive sites, but not all. And actually, there just doesn't seem to be any consideration for communities that have been here for hundreds of years and people living here now. And this is my big issue with it. What weighting does any of this have in the process?
I think that weighting, that's where the politics comes in. The weighting given, we're given a technical job to do, deliver the county council's, city council and South Cambridgeshire district council's policies as best and advise as best on how they can be delivered. The relative weighting then is given to our technical recommendations and the views of local people. Is up to the politicians to decide. I mean, I've got a lot of experience doing a lot of projects. They have varying degrees of unpopularity, frankly. They're always in somebody's front garden or back garden. That's the nature of these things. Often people worry about the impacts. They often see only the worst aspects of the schemes and not the more positive, which are not going to be less tangible than having something in your back garden or next to your back garden. But many schemes that have actually proved to be very successful, which at this stage were equally unpopular. Everybody wants to see new infrastructure. Nobody wants it in the field next to them. You know, how many people here think the A14 should be improved? You know, well, people at Hilton aren't very happy about it because it's right next to them. Sorry?
What about improving the A428?
Well, similarly, when the Highways Agency or Highways England come out with a route for the new A428 between Black Cat and Caxton, it will be in somebody's backyard.
Earlier this evening, and I was told that it would not be fast enough. If the purpose of these busways that we've heard about, whether it's Histon Road or Milton Road or Madingley Road one, whether the purpose of the busways is really to prove the viability of the new emerging local plan, then just let's build a few busways in places that people can accept them, if that's what you really want to do, and get on with it, but not through sensitive places, not removing people's front gardens, not widening roads with lots more asphalt, please. And then finally, can we please look at the other options, 21 of which you heard and were proposed during the call for evidence, some of which I gather that you are actually implementing, but just go for some options which are less invasive. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just comment on that?
Yeah, very briefly.
Last Wednesday night, I was at St Paul's Church on Hills Road. We were consulting on the peak congestion control points, the workplace parking levy, expanded residence parking, etc. And the unanimous view of the people that were talking to me that evening was, you've got to improve the buses first. So what we're actually doing is taking these two things forward in parallel. On our current programme, we'll actually have implemented the peak congestion control points and the workplace parking levy before we actually do get to the point of actually doing the scheme, because of the amount of time it will take, the consultation, the evidence gathering, the environmental assessment, design, etc. will take 3 or 4 years. So these things will actually have happened by then. I think Councillor Hipkin asked the point about Madingley Road under that scenario. Our modelling at the moment actually suggests an increase in traffic on Madingley Road as people seek to come out of the city to avoid the closure points on the ring road. That's why we want to do this as an experiment, because we want to actually, it's the effect which can model these things is difficult. So we want to actually experiment with it and see what actually happens.